Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lode-Holt. As we wrap up this 2-week look at friendships in the Bible, we turn to another of St. Paul's friendships, that with Timothy and Epaphroditus. Like Prisca and Aquila yesterday, these two shared in Paul's work to spread the gospel far and wide. Most of us have probably heard of Timothy, and there are even letters written to him that are part of the New Testament. He appears with Paul in the book of Acts and later on, too. Most of us have never heard of Epaphroditus and his role. Let's start with Timothy. Timothy is especially interesting because he's kind of a first-and-a-half generation Christian. He doesn't quite qualify as a second-generation Christian because he's right there with Paul, but the truth is that Timothy's mother and grandmother were Christians before he was. So while he's part of that first generation of early Christians, he's also something of a second generation too. Timothy was a Gentile who became a Christian and became Paul's right-hand man. As you likely know, there was no mail service in that day, so if you wrote a letter, you had to send it with a person. And as Paul writes to the Philippians, he sends the letter with Timothy. Listen to how he describes in Philippians, listen to how Timothy is described in Philippians, and you'll get the idea of their friendship. St. Paul writes, I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, so that I may be cheered by news of you. I have no one like him who will be genuinely concerned for your welfare. All of them are seeking their own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. But Timothy's worth you know, how like a son with a father he has served me in the work of the gospel. I hope therefore to send him as soon as I see how things go with me, and I trust in the Lord that I will also come soon. That's a close co-worker and friend. It's hard to think of any place in the Bible where someone is praised higher than this. Epaphroditus, on the other hand, is also a friend to Paul, but the relationship is somewhat different. Paul is sending him back to Philippi too, but for very different reasons. It appears that Paul was in prison, and the good people of Philippi had sent Epaphroditus to Paul to serve him, to help ease his difficulties in prison, and also to continue his work. But if you read between the lines here, you get a sense that Epaphroditus had gotten homesick, and then to make matters worse, he had gotten ill himself. Paul doesn't want to just come out and say it, but the truth was that instead of the gift that they had intended Epaphroditus to be, he had instead become a burden because of his illness. Paul, in prison, simply wasn't in a position to be able to care for Epaphroditus. But if Paul sent him back like that, it would embarrass and shame Epaphroditus. So Paul sends him back with high praise too. He writes, Still, I think it is necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother and co-worker and fellow soldier, your messenger and minister to my need. For he has been longing for all of you, and has been distressed because you heard that he was ill. He was indeed so ill that he nearly died. But God had mercy on him, and not only on him, but on me also, so that I would not have one sorrow after another. I am the more eager to send him, therefore, in order that you may rejoice at seeing him again, and that I may be less anxious. Welcome him, then, in the Lord with all joy and honor such people, because he came close to death for the work of Christ, risking his life to make up for those services that you could not give me. Paul praises the work of his friend, and takes pains to say that the illness was not his own fault. Paul says Epaphroditus was doing good work and was of great service to Paul and the gospel. He urges the people in Philippi to receive Epaphroditus with honor and joy. So, these friendships were based in a shared friendship with Christ. They were marked by service to one another, compassion and care for one another, and a shared work for the gospel. Among us, there can be no greater love. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.